His partner from San Mateo, California, weighing 232 pounds, former Rookie of the Year, Steve Pardee. Their opponents from Buffalo, New York, at a combined weight of 520 pounds, the Western States Tag Team Champions, the Fabulous Kellys. And the Kelly twins, Pat and Mike, the Western States Tag Team Champions, taking off the championship belts. Of course, this is a non-title match, going up against Steve Pardee, former Rookie of the Year, and Tony DeMario. Referee, again, reminding each of the four competitors of the rules. Of course, these rules are set up by the Western States Wrestling Alliance and approved by the California State Athletic Commission. And referee reminding the Kellys about pulling the hair, so on. There's the bell. And one of the Kellys, nobody knows which, they both look alike, going up against Steve Pardee in the opening minutes of the match, locking up, and they're into the corner. Referee calling for a break. Fast moving in there. There's a lockup and top wrist lock by one of the Kelly twins on Steve Pardee. Good takedown. And Pardee on the mats. Kelly putting the pressure on that arm. Pardee working his way up on his feet. And Kelly tags out to his brother. Good takedown and an arm bar by the other Kelly twin on Steve Pardee. Referee asks him if he wants to give it up. I don't think that quickly. Steve Pardee, former Rookie of the Year. As a young man that's going places in professional wrestling, only 21 years old, 232 pounds. Good move by Kelly, keeping his weight on Pardee, keeping him down on the mat. Pardee in a very uncomfortable position now. Kelly obviously in control. Pardee sits out, and both men on their feet. Good wrestling move by Steve Pardee. It's a lockup, side headlock by Pardee. And Kelly, brutally strong, picks him up, but Pardee hangs on to the headlock, takes him down, and Pardee stays in control of the match with a side headlock. I have beside me Ron Starr, former Western States Heavyweight Wrestling Champion. Well, Ron, what do you think of this? Steve Pardee and Tony DeMario up against the Kelly twins.
Well, you know, you've got four tough competitors in there. These Kelly twins, they're nobody to misjudge. They've been in professional wrestling now for about 15 years. They're identical twins. That makes it twice as hard to wrestle them. You never know which one's going to be in the ring with you. They're both very, very capable wrestlers. They were great amateur wrestlers in New York. You can see a lot of it in their moves in the ring. They do a lot of basic takedowns and ride positions. They know how to control a man, but that don't mean they won't get down and start kicking and punching when they have to. They are the Western States Tag Team Champions. Makes them twice as tough, like I said. So you just have to stay on them move for move, Doug.
Well, as you said, they are basically very well-accomplished wrestlers. You notice they're very brute-like in their tactics. They'll take a man down with a very good basic wrestling move, but then just rip and tear at him.
This is true, you know. This is one of the tactics they use. They like to take a man down, put all the weight on him, put the elbows in his face, anything they can do to try to wear the man down, to make it a little more painful than it has to be. That's what takes the wind out of you when you're in there and you're tired as it is, and you got to put up with a man's elbows in your face or his point of his elbow in the middle of your back or something. Well, you just can't concentrate on wrestling the way you need to. They're very, very rough individuals. They're both around 240, 250 pounds apiece. They're heavy men, and they are good wrestlers.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, they'll do anything, and they have the skill, the basic wrestling skill that they don't really need to pull any of the dirty things. Now, here earlier, one of the Kellys, whichever one it is in that ring, is pulling the trunks of Steve Pardee. The referee from his position wasn't able to see it. He almost got a pin. He had a 2 count on Pardee. Pardee, though, nonetheless, is hung on to that side headlock. Kelly throws him in the ropes, comes off with a tackle, puts Kelly on the mat. Pardee jumps over him. Sunset flip. Sunset flip. There's a 1 count, but Kelly able to kick out, tags his partner Pardee back up on his feet. And Steve Pardee, a young man, 21 years old, there's a man going places in professional wrestling.
That's true. You know, Doug, I knew Steve before he ever broke into professional wrestling. He's only been out of high school just about 2 or 3 years now. He's coming along really well. He's traveled around the world. He's been to Japan, Australia. He's been in a lot of the major places in the country. He's worked out with a lot of top men. I've put a lot of time in with this man, and like a lot of other people have, he's coming along really well, and he's championship material in the making.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that about knowing Steve since he was in high school. Actually, Steve, when he had his 18th birthday, turned professional wrestling just shortly thereafter and was still a senior in high school when he was wrestling professionally.
That's true. You know, he's from the Bay Area. He went to school there. He was born, raised, grew up right there. So, you know, he has a lot of people there. And like you said, his senior year, you've got to give it to a man, a boy, whatever you want to call him, that's only 18 years old and can come in the ring and do things like he's doing to the two Kellys in there. You're talking about two men that have been into professional wrestling 15 years together. They know every little move each one's going to do. They know without even saying a word what the other guy's going to do. And here you've got a kid that's 21 years old, and he's been in there holding his own with them all night long. He's tagged his partner, Tony DeMario. He's in there now. Let's see what he can do with him.
Well, DeMario, another young man, a little bit older than Steve Pardee, perhaps, and he goes for that headlock, too. Kelly was able to turn it into a top wrist lock and now reverse it and take DeMario down and holds an arm bar. 5 minutes down, 5 minutes. And as we said earlier, the way Kellys are, I mean, they'll just tear and anything at that arm. Now notice Kelly tags his brother, but he holds onto that arm while his brother can come in there and kick the man first instead of just giving DeMario an honest break.
You know, that's one of the things about rules and regulations. You know, rules are made to be broken, some people will tell you, but these men legally, they have a 4 to 5 count before they're going to be disqualified. After the time they make the tag, they've got to count a 5 to get out of the ring, so it takes him only a couple of seconds to hold, long enough for his brother to come in and put a boot to the ribs. That's the kind of tactics I was talking about earlier, when they'll come in there and punish you unnecessarily just to wear you down, just to put a little more edge on their side.
Well, already with a size and experience advantage, something like this, totally unsportsmanlike. There's a punch right to the face.
You hear that one pop all the way over here, Doug.
Well, we're sitting about 20 feet from the ring, and I mean, it popped loud enough that we almost want to cover our ears. Now, there's another example, double teaming the man. One of the Kellys runs Tony DeMario head first into his brother's knee. Now kicks to the midsection by one of the Kelly twins on Tony DeMario, sends him into the ropes, comes off a vicious elbow into the midsection, now grabbing DeMario by the hair. That's illegal. Runs DeMario head first into the foot of his brother. And Kelly twins viciously staying on Tony DeMario. DeMario trying to fight back. Steve Bolos has joined us now here at ringside. And Steve, first of all, congratulations on an impressive victory earlier here tonight. And also, I'm glad to see you here in California. You know, you just recently entered the Western States Wrestling Alliance area, and already you've defeated some of the top men in the country.
Well, thanks very much, Doug. It's certainly a pleasure to be here. And I tell you, Anton Leone is bringing the top wrestling contenders in the California area. And like I say, I'm very happy to be here and watching these Kelly twins right here. This is one of the top tag team combinations in the country today. They're very, very vicious. And one thing about these two guys, Doug, is that they are identical twins. And it's very, very hard just for any referee or for any wrestler to see sometimes when they make a tag, you don't know, you just can't tell who's who. And they work this thing so great that you have to be very, very careful because, like I say, they're both identical twins. Now, here's a good boy coming right back there now. DeMario, he's fighting back real hard on the twins, but see how smart they are? Those twins know exactly what to do at the right time.
Well, there's no doubt about that. They're experienced veterans. They're big, they're tough, and they're very, very sadistic. The way they'll rip and tear and kick and stomp, anything they can do. They've got the basic wrestling skill. They don't have to, but they want to punish a man as much as they can.
Well, that's what they're out there for, Doug. And as you see that now, they don't give their opponent a chance to get over and try to get a tag. And this is what makes them as smart as they are. And as I said, they are big and they're tough. They both weigh about 250, 255 apiece, and they are a very, very impressive tag team. But these are the kind of guys I like to get in there with.
Well, of course, you're a nationally ranked competitor. Do you have a tag team partner in mind? Maybe you can go after these two.
Well, yes, there's a couple. I have a very good friend of mine, Vic Rosatani, who is presently wrestling up in Canada, that I've talked to him on the telephone. He's been quite interested in coming in here. And there's a couple other ones. My ex-partner, Steve Kovacs, who's wrestling in the Tennessee area, who seems to be very, very interested in coming out here. So there's a couple of mine that like to come out here. And, in fact, the one right here, Ron Starr is, is probably one of the best wrestlers in the business today too. And Ron has a lot of title matches lined up across the country, so he's a pretty busy man to get hold of sometime.
Well, of course, you mentioning Vic Rosatani and Steve Kovacs, and to those of you that are veteran followers of professional wrestling, know that there's two names that are well known in the wrestling game. Now, in the ring, one of the Kellys, I don't know which one, they look identical, still tearing away at Tony D'Amato, holding with a chin lock, pounding a fist in there now to the upper body, now grabbing him by the hair, an illegal move, very vicious, and runs him headfirst into the foot of his brother, an illegal move, and no reason for it at all. They already had the control of the man.
You see, Doug, as I just said, this is the way that makes them very, very vicious like this. They don't give their opponent any chance at all. They know also that Tony's a young, up-and-coming wrestling star, and they know this. They know he's inexperienced, and they pick on this, you see. They keep picking at the kid, and yeah, you see he's in trouble right now, and it's a very, very hard situation for him to try to get out of.
10 minutes down, 10 minutes. You know, in spite of it, I've got to give D'Amato and his partner, Steve Pardee, credit. They've gone in there with a lot of guts, facing two bigger and experienced men, and they've fought with a lot of heart. They're really putting it in there, and they're giving the Kellys a rough match, even though the Kellys are obviously in control of the match. Those guys are fighting. They've got the spirit, and I think Steve Pardee and Tony D'Amato probably got some bright careers in the wrestling business.
Oh, definitely, Doug. They are. They're two young and upcoming stars. I said, you have to start from the bottom, and it's a long, long road up to the top, Doug. And they have a long way to go. They have a lot to learn, but tonight they are doing a magnificent job out there. They are giving the Kellys a lot.
Well, there's a tremendous body slam by one of the Kellys. D'Amato gets out of there, and one of the Kellys falls clumsily to the mat. We tried for that elbow drop and tags out to Steve Pardee, a former rookie of the year. Pardee's a ball of fire, and he charges into the ring, and he tears into Kelly with fists, kicks him, stumps him, whips him out, throws him right into his brother, and they're both staggering now.
There's a good move on young Pardee. Now that's using his brains out there, you see now. He's doing a great job. But look, high backdrop. Great backdrop. Great backdrop.
And immediately covers him, trying to win that match. That's the sign of a good wrestler. Stays on him. And arm whipping him again into the ropes. Steve Pardee, only 21 years old, and really giving a good account of himself. Goes for a cover again. Unfortunately, he's too close to the corner of the Kellys.
Well, this is what you got to be very careful of. Never get too close to their corner. Well, here he is. He's keeping it up, though. That's showing a very smart wrestler. He keeps it going. Oh, another smashing elbow right there. Very good.
Well, tremendous athlete. Steve Pardee, take one look at him. There's no question he's in shape, and I think the Kellys maybe starting to feel now they bit off a little more than they can chew. Pardee tags out to Tony D'Amato, and boy, both men fighting it out now, and Kelly seems to have gained the advantage there. And again, illegally, one of the Kellys throwing D'Amato into his brother and kicking him. Now is a good body slam. Oh, backbreaker across the knee by Kelly on Tony D'Amato.
It looks like a finishing hold right there. Once you get that backbreaker put on you, Doug, it's a very punishing hold.
Well, there's no question. Once your back's out, you're finished.
Oh, that's for sure. It looks like this could be it right now.
There's an atomic drop and a cover. With 3 count, it's all over.